Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Nahmadu wa salli ala Rasulil Kareem. Welcome to this series, Check Yourself number 5. This is about the hadith of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam at the end of times, the condition of individuals, of society. And inshallah, by knowing these hadiths, we can protect ourselves from those pitfalls, inshallah. So the first hadith for today, number 16 in the book. عن عبد الله بن مسعود رضي الله عنه أن رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم قال ما من نبي بعثه الله تعالى في أمة قبلي إلا كان له من أمة حواريون وأصحاب يأخذون بسنته ويقتدون بأمره ثم إنها تخلف من بعدهم خلوف يقولون ما لا يفعلون ويفعلون ما لا يؤمرون فمن جاهد بيده فهو مؤمن ومن جاهد بلسانه فهو مؤمن ومن جاهد بقلبه فهو مؤمن وليس وراء ذلك من الإيمان حبة خردل. So the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, there never was a prophet sent from the previous nations, except that they used to have disciples, Hawariyun, disciples and companions. They used to take the sunnah or the way of the Prophet, their messenger or prophet, and they used to follow his orders. Then there came a generation after that. They used to say what they didn't do, and they did things which they were not ordered to do. So whoever fights them with his hand, he's a believer. Whoever fights him with his tongue, he's a believer. And whoever fights them with his heart, he's a believer. And beyond that, there's not even a mustard seed of iman. So the previous messengers, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned, and he's talking about his own situation as well, meaning that after him, his Sahaba and companions, they followed him. And many Muslims till now, they follow him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then people will come, they'll say what they don't do, and they do things, they introduce things into deen that are not been ordered in deen. They made it part of the deen. So whoever fights these people that try to make things deen, bring external things to deen, they should be fought by hand and by tongue and by at least with the heart, which is the lowest level of faith. So, and people who try to bring under NGOs, the name of NGOs, just because a Muslim organization has a Muslim name or is set up by a Muslim, it doesn't mean that it's necessarily working. It's not necessarily working for the interests of the Muslims. There's so many of those ones actually working against Islam. So each organization, student associations, they have to very carefully look at who they associate with, because have a look at the agenda and have a look at the work and have a look at their content completely. So many traps, especially in the United States, they've fallen so many traps where organizations that it's Muslim names, it's something Rahman, the person's name was something Rahman, and but they're working against, they're from Muslim families, they're born Muslims, from Muslim families, have beautiful Islamic names, but they're 100% working against the interests of Islam and Muslims. So we have to very carefully filter these types of organizations, especially when it comes to social justice issues. Those organizations we really have to watch out for. Social justice organizations have to be very careful that are they really there, they're working for the interests of Islam and Muslims. And filter them and keep an eye on them, because organizations just do change. When they start getting government grants and so forth, their agenda also changes and they start working for somebody else, not for the Muslims. Before, when they didn't have any money, they were working, as soon as government grants start coming in, you'll see they become very generic and they leave certain aspects of Islam. And people are tied to those type of organizations, they also start changing their tune as well. They start certain parts of Islam they stop talking about, because they got to get the grants from the government. Allah save us from people like that. So organizations and people come who say what they don't do, and they order things and do things that were not told in Islam, and they're emphasizing things. Everything we have to go back to the source of Islam. We have a 1400-year intellectual academic legacy firmly grounded in the Quran and Sunnah that we can check with, like we're doing now with this hadith, that we can check things and shine a light on, is this really part of deen or not? Or is this something some guy's making up for some other agenda or some other reason, or trying to bring things into Islam to actually weaken Islam? So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us from that. The hadith number 17, عن مسلم بن يسار سمع رضي الله عنه سمع أبو هريرة رضي الله عنه يقول قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يكون في آخر الزمان الدجالون كذابون يأتونكم من الحديث ما لم تسمعوا أنتم ولا آباؤكم فإياكم وإياهم لا يضلونكم ولا يفتنونكم. The Prophet ﷺ said that in the end of times there'll be many dajjaloons, liars, deceptive people, cheating people, tricky people, kadhabun, liars. They will come to you with hadith. They will say things that you've never heard before, neither you nor your fathers. A very interesting thing. Some brothers, they fall in this trap. He said, well, this is what I learned from my father and grandfather. Then they will quote the ayat of Quran regarding our aba'un al-awwalun, the mushrikeen used to say. Well, if your grandfather was a mushrik of Makkah, then there's a problem there. But if your grandfather, as an example, your grandfather is a great faqih and an alim, or he's a practicing Muslim, these are two different things. So they'll use the proof thing. And Rasulullah ﷺ here, and this hadith is Sahih Muslim. They will say things that neither you have heard nor your fathers have heard. Like some new thing has come into deen. Trying to bring new things. It's unheard of. That is something our forefathers have not heard of. And our forefathers, I think most of us Muslims today, vast majority, 99% Muslims have been generationally, if not for centuries, they've been Muslims. And there's certain things of Islam that have set in communities and so forth. Now all of a sudden somebody comes and is trying to uproot that thing of Islam. There are cultural things that we have that have been added and so forth, but there's some dini things. So these people that's a false comparison, because it's Rasulullah ﷺ said, you never heard and your forefathers have never heard. You should be beware of them. Save yourself from them and beware of them. That they don't mislead you and they don't put you in fitna. They don't put you in trial. They don't put you in a fitna, in a test. Meaning they don't confuse you and bewilder you in your deen. That you get lost. So don't let them misguide you. Don't let them misguide you, take you off track. And nor let them confuse you and bewilder you, put you in fitna. Hadith number 18. عن علي كرم الله وجهه قال قال رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم يوشك أن يأتي على الناس زمان لا يبقى من الإسلام إلا اسمه ولا يبقى من القرآن إلا رسمه مساجدهم عامرة وخراب من الهدى علماءهم شر من تحت أديم السماء من عندهم تخرج الفتنة وفيهم تعود. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said, a time will come on the people that Islam will remain in name only. That there will be just a label of Islam, name of Islam. And the Quran will not remain except for that it's just a script. It's just writing in books. There will be no reality of the Quran. The laws of the Quran will not be applied. The iman that is in the Quran, the faith in the Quran, da'wat will not be given to it. People will be disconnected to the Quran, the teachings of the Quran, the iman that is in the Quran, the expectation of the Quran, what a believer should be, is not there. Our talk will be different from the talk of the Quran. Masjids will be built up. Amazing masjids will be built. But it will be in ruin when it comes to hidayah. There will be no hidayah in it. Masajid will be built up. Beautiful masajid built. As we see in the Middle East, some places like in Abu Dhabi. That's a classic example in our time. It literally is a tourist attraction. It's built as a tourist attraction. It's not built for hidayah. It is not following the model of Masjid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam. That a mud brick building, which was the source of hidayah and guidance for the ummah. So it'll be empty from guidance, and the ulama will be the worst people below the face of earth. They'll be the cause. From them fitna will come out, meaning that they'll be the founders of the fitna, and to them the fitna will return, meaning that they'll be the center. They'll be running it. They'll establish the fitna, and then they'll be running they'll establish the fitna, and they'll be running the fitna as well. In hadith number 19, عن معاوية رضي الله عنه قال سمعت النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم يقول لا يزال من أمتي أمة قائمة بأمر الله لا يضرهم من خذلهم ولا من خالفهم حتى يأتي أمر الله وهم على ذلك. The Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم said that my ummah, as long as they'll be on the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one will be able to harm them, no one will be able to make them fail. Whoever opposes them, they will not succeed. As long as the ummah fulfills the order, it does right by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one will make this ummah fail. Until Qiyamah comes, until the matter is established in the Qiyamah, the Day of Judgment comes. As long as there's people in the ummah as long as the ummah is establishing the order of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one will be able to harm the ummah of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and no one will make this ummah fail. Hadith number 20. عن أنس رضي الله عنه رفع العلماء أمناء رسل على عباد الله ما لم يخالطوا السلطان ويداخلوا الدنيا فإذا خالطوا السلطان وداخلوا الدنيا فقد خانوا الرسل فاحذروهم واعتزلوهم وفي رواية واجتنبوهم. So in this hadith, the Prophet ﷺ said that the ulama, they are the trustworthy, they take the amana for the messengers, alayhimus salam. The ulama, they are the umana, they are the safekeepers because they have the inheritance of Rasulullah ﷺ. The miras of Rasulullah ﷺ is only with the ulama of the ummah of Rasul, the ulama of deen, as in the words of Rasulullah ﷺ. There's a hadith, a famous hadith, ulama warathatul anbiya. The ulama, they are the inheritors, the heirs of the prophets alayhimus salam. So they are the inheritors of the messengers upon the slaves of Allah, as long as they don't mix with the rulers and they don't go into the dunya. They try to go into dunya. If they mix with the rulers, meaning they have a very cordial relationship with the rulers, they enjoy being around the rulers and being in the court of the rulers, and they enter into dunya, meaning they chase after the dunya, headlong into dunya, and they abandon the amana that they've been given, meaning you have to do one or the other. Then they have done khiyana to the messengers. Beware of them, stay away from them, protect yourself from them. Such ulama who become, in Urdu the word is darbari alim, this is the court ulama. The Arabs have a word for it, ulama ul balat, or ulama salatin, the palace ulama. They enjoy being in the palace of the ulama, and they take favors, and there's a word in English for it, scholars for dollars. Allah save us from people like that. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, beware of them, stay away from them, protect yourselves from them. So these, as long as the ulama, they are the umana, they have this, they are the ameen, they are the trustworthy, they've got the amana, they're the safekeepers of the amanat of Rasulullah, not just Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but also all the messengers, upon the slaves of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. As long as they don't, two things, they don't mix with the sultan, and they don't enter in the dunya. They can go to the ruler to advise them. But they should, our imams in the past, they had a very strict code of conduct in how they dealt with the rulers. Almost they dealt with them they did deal with them very harshly. When they talk to the rulers, they're the counterweight to the rulers. They're the two authorities in Islam is there in Muslim countries is what? In Islamic countries. The rulers, they're the rulers of the land, and then you've got the ulama. They're the two authorities. There's no third authority in Islam. This authority of ulama, they're supposed to be a counterweight. Because the people in power, they are in the drunkenness and intoxication of power. The ulama are supposed to advise them, but sometimes you have to tell them off. And you see the big imams, Hassan Basri and big imams, they have to tell them off. They have to tell them off in harsh tones so that they snap out of their intoxication of power and so forth. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us understanding and tawfiq to practice what we say in here. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.